Hello, good morning, children. How are you all? I hope you have done the exams very well, and the result also it was clear that you have done well. You got 20 days gap for these online classes. Now, let's come back to our online classes. Now, I am going to explain class 7th history 4th chapter, the Mughal Empire. The Mughal Empire. In the previous chapter, you have learnt about the Delhi Sultans. And now, what about this Mughal Empire? Let's see. Ruling as large a territory as the Indian subcontinent with such a diversity of people and cultures was an extremely difficult task for any ruler to accomplish in the Middle Ages. So, you know already our India is a vast kingdom, a vast empire. So, from the capital, it's a tough task to control all the territory. Not even Mughals, to any ruler, it's a very difficult task. Quite in contrast to their predecessors, the Mughals created an empire and accomplished what had hitherto seemed possible for only short periods of time. So, quite in contrast to their predecessors, the Mughals created an empire and accomplished what had hitherto seemed possible for only short periods of time. So, during the dynasties, Khalji dynasties, Tughlaq dynasties, afterwards here these Mughals also within a short period they have created such a vast empire. From the latter half of the 16th century, they expanded their kingdom from Agra and Delhi until in the 17th century they controlled nearly all of the subcontinent. So, on the latter of the 16th century, they have started controlling from Delhi and Agra. Delhi and Agra. By the 17th century, they have occupied all the subcontinent. Here, subcontinent means nothing else but India. Okay. By what time? By 17th century. They imposed structures of administration and ideas of governance that outlasted their rule, leaving a political legacy that succeeding rulers of the subcontinent could not ignore. So, here in this vast kingdom, they have ruled like that they have left some procedures. That means how the procedures and how the methods were. That means the remaining succeeders, that means the next generations also followed the techniques and methods of ruling the kingdoms. Like that, they have ruled the Indian subcontinent. Subcontinent they could not ignore. Okay. Today, the Prime Minister of India addresses the nation on Independence Day from the ramparts of the Red Fort in Delhi, the residence of the Mughal emperors. Okay, on the Independence Day, our Prime Minister, he will hoist the flag. From where he will hoist the flag? He will hoist the flag from the Mughal Emperor's residence. What is the Mughal Emperor's residence? Red Fort. Okay, Red Fort. On every Independence Day, the Prime Minister will hoist the flag on this Independence Day. Where? On the Red Fort. What is the Red Fort? What is Red Fort here? Red Fort is the residence of Mughal emperors. Once it was the residence of the Mughal emperors. Here in the textbook they have given a picture also. See children, this is the Red Fort. Okay, now let's see who were the Mughals. Who were the Mughals? The Mughals were descendants of two great lineages of rulers. So, here Mughals were the lineages of two dynasties. Who were they? Let's see. Mughals. From their mother's side, they were descendants of Genghis Khan. Genghis Khan from mother's side. That means their mother was the Genghis Khan's hire. Okay. And he was died on 1227. Ruler of the Mongol tribes, China and Central Asia. So, here Mughal's mother side, they were the they belongs to which dynasty? This one, Mongol tribes. Okay, Mongol tribes, China and Central Asia. Who was the ruler of these Mongol tribes? Genghis Khan. Okay. From their father's side, they were the successors of Taimur. They were the successors of Taimur. So, from mother's side, Genghis Khan, and father's side, they were the descendants of Taimur. Okay, so here these were the next generation of these two dynasties. Okay. Next. Here Taimur was the ruler of Iran, Iraq and modern day Turkey. So here Genghis Khan was the ruler of Mongol tribes, China and Central Asia. And here Taimur was the ruler of Iran, Iraq and Turkey. However, the Mughals did not like to be called Mughal or Mongol. Okay, here the Mughals, they don't like to be called as Mongol or Mughals. Why? See, this was because Genghis Khan's memory was associated with the massacre of innumerable people. So, here Genghis Khan's history, it was associated with innumerable people because he invaded many countries and he killed so many people. That's why here Mughals, they don't want to be to be called as the successors of Genghis Khan. They don't want to be called as Mongols. It was also linked with the Uzbeks, their Mongol competitors. On the other hand, the Mughals were proud of their Timurid ancestry. So, they were fond of this Timurese ancestry only. Not least of all because their great ancestor had captured Delhi in 1398. So, because why they are fond of this Timur dynasty means their ancestor in 1398, they were the first person who captured Delhi. That's why they were very proud and fond of this Timurese ancestry dynasty. They celebrated their genealogy pictorially, each ruler getting a picture made of Taimur and himself. Take a look at figure 2, which is somewhat like a group photograph. Okay, here they have given a picture, you see children. Okay, this is the picture. Here everyone is there in the center. Taimur was the person and they asked the painters to paint a picture with Taimur, their ancestor. Okay. And here this picture also seems like a group photograph. Okay. All the Timurese ancestors. And the now present generation people also. Mughal military campaigns. Present means here children, whatever during the 16th and 17th dynasties, whoever ruled, every king, they made a photograph, they made a paint with Taimur. Like that they have done. Next, Mughal military campaigns. Babur, the first Mughal emperor. So, in the Mughal empire, who was the first ruler? Babur. Babur was the first ruler. When he captured, see, his ruling time was 1526 to 1530. 1526 to 1530. Succeeded to the throne of Farghana in 1494 when he was only 12 years old. When he was 12 years old, by that time only he was succeeded to the throne. That means he became the king at the age of 12. Okay. He was forced to leave his ancestral throne due to the invasion of another Mongol group, the Uzbeks. Of course, at the age of 12 he became king, but the other Mongol group, they invaded his kingdom. That's why at the early age he has to leave his throne. After years of wandering, he sieged Kabul in 1504. In 1526, he defeated the Sultan of Delhi, Ibrahim Lodi, at Panipat and captured Delhi and Agra. So, at the age of 12, first he got the kingdom. Later, the invasion of with the Mongols, he left the kingdom. But after some years wandering at the in first of all in 1504 he seized Kabul. In 1504 he seized Kabul, and later in 1526 for the first time again he got control on Delhi. He became Delhi and he defeated by the time Delhi Sultan Ibrahim Lodi. Ibrahim Lodi. Okay, Babur defeated Ibrahim Lodi and captured Delhi in the year 1526. Okay. At Panipat and captured Delhi and Agra. Table 1 charts some of the major campaigns of the Mughals. Study it carefully and see if you can notice any long-term patterns. You will notice Table 1. I will show you later, children. You will notice, for example, that the Afghans were an immediate threat to Mughal authority. So, after Babur becoming Delhi's king in the year 1526, he got the fear from the invasion from the Afghanistan. From the Afghanistan, Afghanis were the first people to invade Delhi. Okay. Note the relationship between the Mughals and the Ahoms, the Sikhs and Mewar and Marwar. Okay, all these relations you will find in the next chapters, children. Okay, how was Humayun's relationship with Safavid Iran different from Akbar's? Okay, here Humayun means Babur's son Humayun, and his relation with whom? With Safavid Iran. It was different from Akbar's. Humayun's son again Akbar. Okay, Babur, Humayun, Akbar. So, all these relations you will get in the next chapter. Did the annexation of Golconda and Bijapur in Aurangzeb's reign end hostilities in the Deccan? So, these are the questions arises in this chapter. Next. Here they have given, this is the table 1, children. Here all the Mughal rulers pictures and their some information was given about them. Let's see. I told you the first person was Babur. Okay. Babur in 1526 he defeated Ibrahim Lodi and captured Delhi and Agra. In 1527 he defeated Rana Sanga, Rajput rulers and allies at Kanuva. In 1528 defeated the Rajputs at Chanderi, established control over Agra and Delhi before his death. So, in 1526 he captured Delhi. 1527 defeated Rana Sanga. Okay, Rajput rulers. In 1528 he defeated Rajputs at Chanderi before his death. At the age of 1530 only he died. Okay. So, before that he captured Agra and Delhi during his 4 years reign. Next person is Humayun. Okay, the next person, Babur's son, Humayun. Okay, let's see. Okay, Humayun. Humayun, he ruled between 1530 to 1540 and 1555 to 1556. Okay, 2 times he ruled Delhi. Humayun divided his inheritance according to the will of his father. Who was his father? His father was Babur. Okay, his brothers were each given a province. So, not only he shared his kingdom with his brothers also. The ambitions of his brother Mirza Kamran weakened Humayun's cause against Afghan competitors. So, here Humayun's brother Mirza Kamran, he did not support Humayun. His ideas were separate against Afghan competitors, and Mirza Kamran's ideas were different. Sher Khan defeated Humayun at Chauza in 1539. So, in the year 1539, Sher Shah Suri. Okay. Sher Khan. Sher Khan defeated Humayun. Sher Khan defeated Humayun at Chauza and Kanauz. Here, Chauza in 1539 and Kanauz in 1540. Okay, in the two places, two wars, the Sher Khan defeated Humayun, forcing him to flee to Iran. As he could not compete with this, he could not do battle with Sher Khan. Here, Humayun flee to Iran. Okay, fled to Iran. Flee to Iran means ran away, escaped. Okay, he has gone to Iran. In Iran, Humayun received help from the Safavid Shah. After going to Iran, he received help from Safavid Shah. Safavid Shah, by the time he was the ruler of Iran. Safavid Shah, Iran ruler. Okay, in the year 1540, when he defeated in the hands of Sher Khan, Humayun ran to Iran, and there this Safavid Shah, he helped Humayun. In Iran, okay, he recaptured Delhi in 1555. That means how many years he has taken? He had taken 15 years to recapture Delhi. That means all these 15 years he was in Iran only. Okay. But died the next year after an accident in his building. So in 1555, of course, he recaptured Delhi, but the next year in 1556, he fell down from the steps of his palace and he died. Who died? Humayun died. The next, Humayun's son. Okay, so up to 1556 he ruled. Next, Humayun's son, Akbar. I hope all of you, many of you heard this name, famous Mughal emperor in the history, Akbar. Akbar was 13 years old when he became emperor. His reign can be divided into 3 periods. So his reign, Akbar's reign, can be divided into 3 periods. First one is 1556 to 1570. 1556 to 1570. Okay, what he has done by that time. Akbar became independent of the regent Bairam Khan and other members of his domestic staff. Military campaigns were launched against the Suris and other Afghans, against the neighboring kingdoms of Malwa and Gondwana, and to suppress the revolt of his half-brother Mirza Hakim and the Uzbeks. So, at the early age only, at the age of 13 years only, he became the king. Accidentally, his father died. So, as he was young, the neighboring countries' rulers, what they have done, they tried to invade his kingdom. But by the time Bairam Khan was the supporter, he was the general, Bairam Khan, military commander, soldiers commander. So he helped him, and with the help of this Bairam Khan, Akbar invaded the Uzbeks and Malwa, Gondwana. Okay, all these 3 kingdoms he had invaded. In 1568, the Sisodia capital of Chittoor was seized, and in 1569, Ranthambore. So, in the 1568, Sisodia, Chittoor. In the year of 1568, Sisodia capital of Chittoor, and in 1569, he captured Ranthambore. These 2 kingdoms Akbar occupied. Next, second stage was 1570 to 1585. Okay, this is the second phase of Akbar's kingdom. Let's see. Military campaigns in Gujarat were followed by campaigns in the east in Bihar, Bengal, and Orissa. These campaigns were complicated by the 1579-1580 revolt in support of Mirza Hakim. So here Mirza Hakim, his half brother, he also wants the kingdom. That's why by the time 1572, in the year of 1579 to 80, he has faced a revolt with the Mirza Hakim. Next, third phase was Mirza Hakim. Third phase was 1585 to 1605. Okay, this is the third phase. Expansion of Akbar's empire. Campaigns were launched in the northwest. Kandahar was seized from the Safavids. Kashmir was annexed, as also Kabul. So all these kingdoms, Kandahar, Kabul, Kashmir, Kashmir, Berar, Khandesh, and parts of Ahmednagar. So see children, during the time of 1585 to 1605, he has seized Kandahar, Kabul, Kashmir, Berar, Khandesh, and parts of Ahmednagar. Campaigns were launched in the northwest. Kandahar was seized from the Safavids. Kashmir was annexed, as also Kabul, after the death of Mirza Hakim. Campaigns in the Deccan started, and Berar, Khandesh, and parts of Ahmednagar were annexed. All these kingdoms were annexed by Akbar. In the last years of his reign, Akbar was distracted by the rebellion of Prince Salim. Prince Salim means here Salim, nothing but he was the son of Akbar only. Okay, at the end of his reign time, Akbar faced the rebellion of Prince Salim, the future emperor Jahangir. Salim means here Jahangir. Okay, so this is the lesson, children. Remaining the Nawabs I will explain in the next video. Okay, I hope you understood this lesson. Thank you. Have a nice day.